hold, sell, or trade original Star Wars. So the hold, sell, or trade, the idea here is that we are going to look at items from my personal collection, much as you would view a stock. If you use something like E-Trade or some other kind of broking firm for acquiring stocks or mutual funds, they will often say hold, sell. The idea being, they rate stocks, and we're going to kind of do the same thing with toys, and we're going to be looking at original Star Wars from my personal collection. Basically, with the stock options, right? They'll give recommendations of, buy, hold, or sell, right? That's the way that people look at stocks. But we're going to be looking at my personal Star Wars collection that I just recently unearthed. And we're going to be asking the question, should I hold, sell, or trade items from my personal collection that I've been cataloging? And I've gotten into selling items at toy conventions and things like that. So I'm really looking to see what I want to do. On a personal level, one of the issues I have is that I've got these items in storage and they're not being displayed. And it's like, if I am going to hold them, I need to figure out a way to display them. Like you can kind of see back here, I do have some items displayed. They're not all mine, by the way. Some of them belong to my kids, but that's just a very small display right there of just a few figures. And I've got so much more. So, and we're going to get into it. So I'm going to show you what I believe is my complete collection of the figures from the Ewoks cartoon. And I am curious what people think as far as whether they consider this original Star Wars. I was getting into some collectors' channels recently, and I saw somebody that was collecting, quote unquote, the original Star Wars collection, but they only went through Return of the Jedi and I guess the original Power of the Force line. And I even asked that person, like, how come no Ewoks? How come, no, I mean, he had the live action Ewoks, but it's like, how come no cartoon Ewoks? How come no droids? And he told me that he just wanted to focus on that original lot. But personally, I consider the droids and the Ewoks cartoon lines to be part of the original, the original line. And I know some people disagree with that, but I think if you're a true completionist of original Star Wars, you have to include droids and Ewoks. As far as I know, I have every single one of them because it wasn't a big line. So let's get into it. So show the this is the king of the Duloks. So let me get that banner down. King Gornesh, a Dulok. He is the king of the Duloks. Let's see what it says on the back of his coin. So obviously I have the coin. I apologize that the images aren't that great. I was taking these pictures with my phone and I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't tell whether it was in focus or not. And obviously this one wasn't, but you can read it. It says, king of the evil Duloks, who leads them in attacks on I can't read that word, on their distant cousins, the Ewoks. So basically, that was one of the premises of the Duloks, was that they were actually cousins of the Ewoks. We never saw any of them in any live action form, but here's the figure. And I think that these pictures actually came out pretty decently. You can kind of see the side. As far as I know, he's complete. I think one of the issues with these figures is that the tails sometimes might break. You can see he kind of has like a crown that I'm sure sometimes gets broken. And of course, the accessories get lost. So as far as I know, he is complete, as I remember. Mike Wolf, he said, you have to include 100 R5 droids, bro. 100 R5 droids. Interesting, Mike Wolf. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but you have to include 100 R5 droids. If you can clarify, Mike, I'd appreciate that. And I think what you're talking about is my claim that if you really are a completionist of original Star Wars, you got to have both the droids and the Ewoks line. That's just my personal opinion. I'm curious what you think and what other people think as well, as far as that boast that I'm making, that If you don't have these, you don't have the original line, in my personal opinion. So again, as far as I know, I have all of these. So this again is the Duloc King, and I do have the coin for it as well. And King Gornish, right? King Gornish. I really don't remember his name at all, so it's like really foreign to me. I do remember this character. This is the sort of the Duloc shaman. Okay, he sort of like he was supposed to be sort of like the Duloc equivalent of Logray, right? I remember him from the cartoon. He was on there a lot. It says the professed Duloc medicine man who steals Logray's potions by becoming invisible with magic soap. You know, it's funny. Just reading that now, it's like I'm trying to remember that whole premise that he used magic soap to become invisible and steal potions from Logray. But I do remember this character. He actually is pretty vibrant looking, in my personal opinion. You'll notice that he does have like a necklace, which I think this actually gets lost quite a bit. Obviously, I want to show that his tail is intact, and he does have his stick there, his medicine, wand or whatever you want to call it. So I think with this figure, a lot of times the necklace gets lost, and I would imagine the strands get broken a lot too. But I wonder, I kind of wonder like how much these things were actually played with, because obviously this stuff came out at the end of the line. I played with them. I mean, I was really into the Ewoks. I know there's a lot of Ewok haters out there, but I was into the Ewoks as a kid, and quite frankly, everybody I knew was into the Ewoks. I feel like all this Ewok hate is complete revisionism from guys who just got too old. Mike said, I can clarify, if you like OG Star Wars, you should have an army of those awesome R5 droids. Gotcha. Best droids of the original trilogy. He says, best droids of the original trilogy and the best looking. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that clarification. So you really like the R5 droids. I gotcha. Which, by the way, I'm having trouble remembering what the R5 droids actually are. And yeah, you clarified that they're the best looking. I'm trying to remember what they are exactly, and I am having a blank right now to remember exactly what the R5 droids look like. But if you want to mention to them maybe something to help jog my memory, I would appreciate that. So moving on to the next of the Dulocs, there are 4 of them, by the way. This is Urga, and I do have the coin, obviously, and you can see the back. King Gornish's constant consort and partner in his dirty deeds against the Ewoks. And again, I apologize for the lack of focus. I'm even having trouble myself reading these just because of the lack of focus. But again, when I took the pictures, I didn't have my glasses. I didn't realize a lot of this stuff was out of focus. So yes, this is the female Duloc, and not much to say about her. She doesn't really have any accessories. She has kind of like this little like cloth thing that I think would be like almost impossible to lose, because you'd have to like forcibly take it off, and you'd probably have to break it to get it over her head. But you can see, her tail's intact. I imagine the tails do get destroyed sometimes on these figures, especially depending how you store them and from play and all that kind of stuff. I will say this: you kind of notice in this picture that her one of her legs is kind of in a weird position. She's very, very difficult to stand. And I remember this even as a kid, and you can kind of see how her feet are weird, because she's supposed to be like in this walking stance, I guess. And it's very, very strange. She's very hard to balance. And I remember that as a kid, as I was trying to, balance her to take the picture. I remember when I was, as a kid, like, I remember thinking, why the heck are her feet like that? Because it's just so awkward and it's so weird. And just the way that the figure is made, the balance is really, really bad. It's really, really off. So again, hold, seller, trade, right? Hold, seller, trade. That's the idea. Hold, seller, trade. These Dulocs. This is the female Duloc, Urga. So hold, seller, trade, Urga. What do you guys think? What do you think? We got another comment here. And Mike Wolf clarifies, it's the red one that Luke bought from the Jawas, and then it broke. Then he bought R2. I wish I had that Ewok line too, man. They are so expensive. So they are expensive, as you're saying, Mike. So if you have any insight on that, please let me know, because I wanted to do this live, and I didn't really research like what these figures are going for loose right now. My understanding is they are rather rare. It's one of those things where like it was an unsuccessful toy line, right? So because of that, these items are kind of rare actually. So if you have any insight on that, Mike, please let me know. But my brother does have an R2, and now that you clarified who R2 was, I do plan to show my brother's collection in a future episode because he is looking to liquidate his collection as well. In fact, I found two of his figures with my figures. When I found these figures and I'm showing you now, I found two of his figures. I actually found his Stormtrooper, original Stormtrooper, and original Princess Leia. And so in a future episode, I plan to show my brother's collection. I just want to clarify with him that that's okay because I've been cataloging his stuff as well. So in a future episode, I will be showing his R2. In fact, that item is actually just a couple feet away from me in a box. But again, that's my brother's, and I want to make sure he's cool with it. And then I'm going to show his stuff. Right now, I'm just showing stuff from my personal collection. So yeah, I totally know what that figure you're talking about, and it's a cool figure. It's a very cool figure. I definitely like droid figures for sure, live action droids or the cartoon. So moving on to the next Duloc, this is the Scout Duloc. So this is your army builder. It says typical of the many Dulocs, distant cousins of the Ewoks who live in the swamps on Endor. I like how it's like even the description is very, very like, you know, it's very bland. It's very general, right? But this is what this figure was. This is the Duloc Scout. He's an army builder. I didn't get like a good angle. I mean, you can see that his tail is intact. I wish I had gotten one on the side. I think I actually did take one on the side, and it came out so poorly that I decided not to use it for the show. But you can see like, you know, his, I guess what you call like his hair and stuff are still intact. I imagine that stuff gets broken, and you can see he has his accessory. He has his club. In fact, the way you see him now is the way I found him. All these figures are like in a bag in storage at my mom's house. And this, he still had the accessory, the club in his hand, which I imagine that that is an issue. Accessories get lost quite a bit with these things. So let's see, moving on to the next figure in the line. This is the one and only Wicket. Here's the coin. I do have the coin. Wicket, the Ewok Scout. And it says on the back, Wicket's friendly, adventurous, and mischievous nature makes him a leader among other young Ewoks. And I think I might have messed up, by the way, with the with the spear. I think that might be the live action version's spear. I think I might have twisted them, and you'll see I do have the live action version as well, but I think I kind of switched the spears. So I don't think that is actually the appropriate spear. I think I got them confused when I was doing this. It's very hard to kind of pose them because I remember this was always an issue. He doesn't hold the spear very well. But he is awfully cute, I have to say. You know, I really, this is one where it's like, yeah, I think I'd have some difficulty selling this one. But again, hold, sell, or trade. This is the animated Ewok with coin. And I think, again, this is the wrong spear, but I do have the right one. I think you'll see when I show the picture of the live action version that I actually screwed up and I posed him with the wrong spear. Michael says, yeah, I'm from the Netherlands, man. So the Ewok line is really rare to buy locally here. I bet they're more common in the US. That's a great point, Mike. So you're from the Netherlands. And I do know that as far as I know, I mean, the line was released out there. You obviously would know more than me, but I'd be curious about that. I feel like as I'm kind of like just remembering past research and stuff, I feel like it was actually fairly popular in France is kind of what I remember. And if you can clarify that, if you know or not, I feel like the line actually did better over there than it did here in the US. And I know that I know one phenomenon that happened quite a bit as far as European releases of American toys is a lot of times the line would be more successful in Europe than in the United States. And like, for instance, I was showing my DC animated collection not too long ago, just a couple weeks ago. And I actually have a Supergirl figure that I know was a European release. And I actually had to special order it, mail order. I couldn't find it in a store here in the United States. So that's one of the interesting things. And if you have any insight on that, I'd appreciate that, because I know that happens quite a bit where, like, again, like, this is like the Superman animated series, the 90s series. I know that that series was not very successful here, but a lot of other figures were released in Europe. So I'd be curious if you have any insight about the Ewok and the droids line over there in Europe, and as far as, if they're variants or anything like that. But again, I do think that I posed my poor Wicket with the wrong spear here, so I do apologize about that. And for anybody who knows, you'll see the live action version in a little bit, and you can tell me whether I did indeed. In fact, actually looking at it now, I'm almost 100% positive that is the wrong spear. That's the one that goes with the live action Wicket, not with the animated version. Unfortunately, I do not have the coin for Logray. I don't know what happened to it. It's kind of weird that I have all the other coins, but I do not have the code for. I don't have the coin for Logray, and I wonder how rare that is. But this is Logray. This is the animated version of him. He definitely is very interesting and distinctive looking from his live action counterpart, which I'll be showing in a little bit. But this is Logray, and he does have his accessory. He does have his staff, which I think is very cool. So again, buy. Not buy. I already have it, so I can't buy it, but hold, sell, or trade. What do you guys think? Should I hold on to these? As I realize that I basically have the entire collection, and it's very hard to have the entire collection of anything, right? That is one of the nice things about something like the Ewoks line, or specifically the Ewoks animated line, because they're so limited. I mean, that's it. The figures I just showed you, that's it. The only other figures out there are prototypes, as far as I'm aware of. And I would be curious, especially since I have somebody from Europe that's talking. I don't know if any of those other figures got released, because there were supposed to be a lot more Ewok animated figures. I remember seeing the pictures of them. Like, they were going to have Chief Chirpa. They were going to have the female lead, which I can't remember what her name was. I kind of just vaguely remember the cartoon. It was a long time ago that I watched it, but I have essentially the complete collection, right? I have basically, this is it. This is the entire collection of the Ewoks line, of the Ewoks cartoon line. And I think if I was to sell it, I would sell it as a complete collection. The only thing I'm missing is the coin. So I guess one thing I could ask, as far as if I do want to be a true completionist, should I go ahead and try to acquire the coin? Which I wonder how expensive that would be to find Logray's coin, since I don't have his coin. Apparently I lost it, which is really weird, because again, I have all the other ones. And Mike says, to be honest, I don't know if it was more successful in the EU compared to the USA, but I'm on some Facebook pages that sell a lot of vintage Star Wars, and they are quite rare to get. He says maybe in the rest of the EU, but as far as the Netherlands goes, I'm not sure. And he says, and Mike says, hold on them, man, especially if you got the entire collection. Those are going to be worth some money, man. You could get some good money for that in the EU. So appreciate your recommendation, Mike. That's the whole point of this segment: hold, sell, or trade. So you're saying hold,